Do you know why the most famous female vocalist in Hollywood resigned after 48 years? Anyone who enjoys country music should definitely check out Barbara Mandrell. Taste of Country twice named her Entertainer of the Year at the Country Music Awards. Additionally, she was honored with 2 Grammys. She was also widely considered a top country music star in the 70s and 80s, but even though she has had an amazing career, Barbara Mandrell chose to retire so she could escape the limelight. Everyone lost track of Barbara Mandrell. Make sure you watch the entire video. First, a terrible and unexpected turn occurred in Barbara Mandrell's life in 1984, just when her already impressive career was supposed to reach its peak. During the early 1980s, Mandrell enjoyed tremendous success as a country crossover artist. She wasn't willing to limit herself to a career in music. She also tried her hand at acting and singing on television. On September 11, 1984, tragic events happened while Mandrell was at the height of her fame. The course of her life was irrevocably changed by that terrible day. The famous artist's life was forever altered by a devastating automobile accident. The accident changed people's lives in more ways than one, not to mention killing the other driver in the process. In stark contrast to Mandrell's dazzling and glitzy career, the automobile disaster occurred. It was a harsh reality check about how unpredictable life is, even for the seemingly perfect. Tragically, the tragedy left Barbara Mandrell to deal with the loss of a loved one. After the crash, Mandrell had to deal with the physical and mental effects. Death, fame, and the fragility of success were all things that the effect made him think about. During a sad time that overshadowed the joyful events that had begun the decade, she had to confront the darker sides of life's uncertainty. The crash was the worst for Mandrell, who broke her leg, had additional injuries on top of the concussion, which made recovery more difficult and time-consuming. She returned to the singing arena with a vengeance after a year and a half of diligent recovery from a severe damage to her body. 2 of Barbara Mandrell's children were in the car during the tragic event, thus the worry spread to them as well. The injuries inflicted against the Mandrell family only served to worsen their precarious circumstances. Because of all that went wrong after the disaster, their stories won a perseverance through adversity in the group's fight to put the terrible event behind them. Throughout her long road to recovery, Mandrell dealt with the emotional and physical toll of her disability. The apparent and unseen wounds were a constant reminder of how transient life is and that anybody can be touched by tragedy. In the end, though, Mandrell was able to regain her status as a major participant in the music industry, all thanks to her dogged persistence. Events following the tragedy also had an effect on Barbara Mandrell's life. She became an outspoken supporter of seatbelt use as a result. Even though her own children were fastened in seatbelts when the accident occurred, the family did not usually adhere to this safety protocol. For the reason that the Chicago Tribune published it, this realization prompted Mandrell to talk about the need of wearing a seatbelt and other driving safety measures. She wanted to use her personal tragedy to inspire others. Mark White, a 19-year-old motorist, was identified by the official investigation as the second driver that caused the terrible accident by crossing the center line of the road. It was crystal clear from the police report that White was the one responsible for the collision. In order to provide the groundwork for the following legal procedures, things took an unexpected turn after the incident when Mandrell and Ken Dudney chose to sue Mark White's family for an incredible $10.3 million in damages. This sparked a lot of discussion and put them in the limelight. Lots of individuals were talking about the transfer, and a few of them said. Supporters spoke out against the lawsuit, calling it heartless and opportunistic given the tragic circumstances. Behind the scenes, real concerns rather than a desire to make money drove Mandrell and Dudney to sue. Going to court was their only choice, according to their counsel, in order to have the insurance company compensate them. Surprisingly, the case turned out to be a sensible plan, not a heartless effort to cash in on the tragedy. Because of how the public felt about the court case, an already complicated situation became much more so. As they continued to deal with the aftermath of the accident and Mark White's death, fans were torn between understanding Mandrell's pain and wondering why he was suing. Beyond the realm of celebrity whispers, a story emerged shaped by public opinion, judicial maneuvering, and personal loss. Farther into the complexities of responsibility, fairness, and the way the public deals with such terrible events. Even though the music industry went through a rough patch in the mid-1980s, Mandrell defied expectations and turned her career around, becoming famous again in the country music industry. In the last years of the decade, her exceptional musical talent catapulted her to the pinnacle of the American country music chart. Showcase her charm and her ability to bounce back from challenges creatively. The pinnacle of Mandrell's return was another victory in an unrelated field. The 1990 publication of Get to the Heart My Story was her autobiography. The story's intimacy allowed both critics and fans to connect with it. An astounding 3 months on the New York Times bestseller list attests to the book's profound influence. A 1997 hit on CBS, her autobiography was adapted from the critically acclaimed book. Because of this, Mandrell's reputation as an illustrious singer and riveting storyteller was cemented. Regardless, 1997 was a watershed year for Barbara Mandrell, both personally and professionally. The following day after an Opry performance, notable country music personality Mandrell announced her retirement. When she decided to leave the stage, an amazing chapter in her singing career came to a close. Not only did she retire, but her career, which had an enormous influence on country music for decades, had also come to an unfortunate end. Priorities changed for Mandrell when he chose to retire. Over the course of his long and varied career, he had seen it everything. Her fans were torn as she stepped away from the limelight, having seen her rise to fame and fall from grace. However, her #1 hits, literary accomplishments, and the biopic film chronicling her life demonstrate that her contributions to the genre remained substantial even after she departed. In 1997, Barbara Mandrell decided to leave in order to follow a lifelong dream. Despite her continued fame and fortune, the famous country music artist decided to step away from the hectic and demanding lifestyle of show business for a while to be with her family, especially her son, who is in high school. This monumental decision underscored Mandrell's dedication to family values and a less hectic home life. It's clear that Mandrell cares deeply about her family because she decided to sell her instruments, a clear sign that she is stepping away from the demands of her music profession. By selling, she made it clear that being a dedicated wife and mother was more important to her than being in the limelight. When you become famous, your personal relationships often take a backseat. Mandrell's values and ambitions were laid bare when she prioritized her family over her fame. She may not be performing anymore, but nonetheless, Barbara Mandrell made public appearances on occasion. Notably, she kept playing Alex Mitchum on Sunset Beach all the way until 1998, showing that her fame didn't fade with her final performance. Even though she was officially retired, Mandrell was clearly still trying to strike a balance between her career and her family. As the years went by, Mandrell became less visible to the public eye. As the new century began, her star faded and her life settled into a more relaxed rhythm. By keeping a low profile, she was clearly trying to stay out of the spotlight. Despite the few film appearances and glimpses into her life, Mandrell opted for a life of seclusion. Now she's well into her 70s. It would appear that Barbara Mandrell is happy living her life away from the spotlight. She appears to prefer a low-key existence as she isn't very active in public, which could be an indication that she wants to shun the limelight. Along with her desire to seek personal fulfillment, her decision showed how important family has always been to her by avoiding the obligations of a famous job. Beyond her time on stage and in the studio, Barbara Mandrell has had a profound impact on country music. There was universal agreement that her impact would endure long after her 2009 induction into the Country Music Hall of Fame. This recognition further cemented Mandrell's place in country music lore and her influence on the genre. The 2009 induction ceremony for Mandrell was a moving tribute to his successful and long career. Reba McEntire, Michael McDonald, and Louise Mandrell, Mandrell's sister, were among the famous people who paid tribute to her on stage with songs that reflected her legacy and impact. The fact that other performers at the event paid tribute to Mandrell's work in country music shows just how far her impact has gone. Throughout the event, the always charismatic Mandrell took a moment to thank her and think about her trip. She had great pride in the advancements her work had accomplished because of her father, Barbara Mandrell. But the fact that Barbara had died at 84 years of age only 2 months before the funeral made the whole thing more meaningful. A sad yet joyful shade was cast over the celebration by his departure, which underlined the deep familial relationships that had played such a crucial role in Barbara Mandrell's life. The fact that Barbara Mandrell helped direct his daughter's work added a poignancy to the induction ceremony. It proved that Barbara Mandrell's family was an integral part of her career and support system. His untimely death, so close to this momentous milestone, wove in tragedy and joy into the tapestry of her artistic journey. Upon being elected to the Country Music Hall of Fame in 2009, Barbara Mandrell was deeply moved by the speech she gave about her father. Barbara Mandrell, over the course of her outstanding 38-year profession. According to Barbara, Barbara Mandrell was both my boss and my dad during my 38-year career. She expressed her deepest thanks by adding, "He taught me, led me, and instructed me." This particular detail shed light on the dual role that Barbara played in Barbara's life, both professionally and emotionally, emphasizing the unique aspects of their bond as a father and daughter. The impact that Barbara Mandrell had on Barbara's life extended far beyond his familial ties. He guided her professionally and gave her sound advice while she was under his supervision. As a father figure and role model, he became very close to them, going beyond. Barbara's success was influenced by the Mandrell tradition and the conventional manager-artist connection. I am blessed to have his name. Mandrell is the way Barbara expresses her thanks for the impact her family history has had on shaping her identity. A musical genius, the Mandrell name came to stand for determination, skill, and tenacity. Barbara's sincere gratitude for her father's part in creating this legacy was evident in her words. Still in an emotional mood, Barbara thanked all the fans and generous people who had a hand in making the Mandrell name famous. This recognition brought attention to the bond between a performer and their audience, illustrating how celebrity is a two-way street. The popularity of the Mandrell name was due to more than just Barbara's talent. In addition to the undying devotion of her devoted followers. So tonight I thank you with all my being for putting the Mandrell name into the Hall of Fame. In 2020, Barb Mandrell's famous musical career as renowned producer and DJ Dave Aud took an unexpected and delightful turn as she conveyed her thanks in her dying words. Took charge of reworking one of Mandrell's early singles, has gained fame through her work with global superstars such as Rihanna and Beyonce. The selected tune was Sleeping Single in a double bed, her 1978 first country single that shocked listeners by reaching #1. A remix of this unexpected collaboration breathed new life into a popular song that listeners had loved for decades. Showcases the enduring appeal of Mandrell's musical compositions. Remixer Dave Aud expertly blended the edgy, avant-garde soundscapes with Mandrell's classic melody in his work. According to Rolling Stone, the remix gave the famous songs from Sleeping Single and A Double Bed a fresh lease on life. The past and present were fused in a lively reinvention. As soon as Barbara Mandrell saw the remix, she was overjoyed. "Oh my gosh, I was thrilled," she cried out in joy, revealing how much she valued Aud's rendition of her famous song. Thank you wasn't only an act of kindness on her part. Painters' interpretations of her classic stock by modern painters excited Mandrell, who was open to the idea that art may develop over time. Mandrell's praise for the remix in particular showed how Aud's choices in beat and structure affected the song. She made the observation the arrangement and the beat really throw down, and her joy at seeing her music transformed into a dynamic modern atmosphere shone through. The remix had double duty. It acknowledged Mandrell's impact on country music and showcased her versatility as a songwriter by allowing her to explore different styles and genres. Barbara Mandrell, a trailblazer in country music and a living icon on stage, returned to the Grand Ole Opry stage in a grand fashion on July 30th, 2022. It was a momentous and emotional occasion for those involved in country music. She had an astonishing comeback on this momentous day, which occurred some 30 years after she had retired. She was setting out on an extraordinary adventure to celebrate her half-century tenure with the world-famous country music institution. The 1972 first recognition of Mandrell's outstanding career occurred at the Grand Ole Opry, frequently called the Mecca of country music. If USA Today is to be believed, Barbara Mandrell is the 10th longest-serving member of the Grand Ole Opry. Because of this proof of her lasting influence, her fame in the country music industry has only grown. When Mandrell returned to the Opry stage, it was for a solemn rendezvous with the place she loves and considers home. The Grand Ole Opry feels comfortable, and his home exquisitely describes the profound emotional bond that Mandrell shares with this famous venue, emphasizing the profound effect it has had on her creative growth. According to Barbara Mandrell, one of the high points of her career was receiving her first Grand Ole Opry acceptance in 1972, when she was only 23 years old. This feeling shows how the Opry was crucial in developing Mandrell's sense of self as a performer. The early induction did more than just thrust her into the limelight. It also set the stage for a legendary career of accomplishments and contributions. Even if there is some cynicism regarding country music, Barbara Mandrell has stayed committed to it throughout the years. Her steadfast commitment to the music she adores is proof that she values the nation's varied and vibrant history. The fact that Mandrell continues to devote herself to the genre shows how much she loves and is anchored in it, regardless of any problems the genre may be having in the public eye. A diverse group of women from many walks of life took the Grand Ole Opry stage to celebrate her triumphant return for her 50th anniversary party. Carrie Underwood, one of the performers, took a moment to thank and admire Barbara Mandrell. Underwood, a prominent character in modern country music, claims that Mandrell had a profound effect on her career and the industry at large. She has been such an inspiration to me and so many others who stand on the shoulders of great female artists like her, she told the people in attendance. Underwood was not alone in her sentiments for Mandrell. Many other artists shared her awareness of her role in advancing women in country music. Mandrell has had an effect on many people's lives, and her legacy lives on through her successors. The fame of Carrie Underwood really brought to light the idea that the work of an artist may influence and improve the lives of their fans. It is an expression of sincere appreciation and solidarity. The fact that Carrie Underwood's sound check was watched by Barbara Mandrell shows that ladies in country music are supportive and considerate. Attending the sound check was more than just a show of support for Mandrell. The links between artists from different time periods become clear because of this. The example set by Mandrell as a leader and an inspiration to those who are continuing the work from one generation to another was truly moving. As a result of her successful 50th anniversary performance at the Grand Ole Opry, Barbara Mandrell took to Instagram to express her gratitude to everyone. By posting several images that caught the magic of the evening, the country singer, known for her candor with her fans, made the event more vivid. Because she wanted to express her gratitude to everyone who helped make the night special, her letter was heartfelt and sincere. The emotional impact of the party was discussed by Mandrell in her Instagram post. The depth of the event's effect on her was communicated by her genuine look. Mandrell connected with her audience on a more personal level when she spoke about the love and energy that emanated from everyone, whether they were in the audience or watching at home. Mandrell thanked her fans and also the Grand Ole Opry, a storied organization that had a significant impact on her career. Thank you to the Opry for celebrating me and welcoming me home. This sentiment captured Mandrell's deep connection to the Opry, and it was a beautiful expression of her love for them. She considers it a sacred space where she began her singing career in return for a momentous occasion, as well as a stage for her performances. Think about why Barbara Mandrell almost didn't show up. Feel free to express your thoughts using the box provided. Let us know if this video was helpful. Click like, share, and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Thank you for seeing it. I'll see you in the next film.